Okay, so we're going to kick off with understanding the basics of being a freelancer. A freelancer is basically somebody who is self-employed and they can work on a project basis or they can work on contracted hours. So it just means that you have more flexibility, you can work for multiple clients at one time, you can negotiate your rates, but you're also self-employed, so you need to remember that for the finance side of things. The reason that freelancing kind of exists is because for employers, it means that they can get somebody who is skilled to come in and do a project that might be needed without the cost of having to employ someone full-time. So as a freelancer or someone that's self-employed, you don't get things like sick pay and holiday and enrolled into the company pension scheme. None of that, you don't get those benefits. But as a freelancer, you're able to charge a higher rate because of those things. So there are definitely pros and cons to being a freelancer, and I'm going to go into some of them now. So obviously, number one, you have way more freedom in your life. You can choose projects that fit around your schedule. So for instance, for me, for the last nearly 2 years, I have been wanting to earn more money because I was renovating my cottage in Cornwall. So I took on a lot more work. Now I am doing a little bit of traveling. I'm living in the Philippines for a little bit, and I just wanted to have a little break and just chill out a little bit and have a little reset and do stuff like this. So I have taken on less clients. So I've been able to really work around my own schedule and what I've got going on, and also just listen to my heart and my head. I was feeling really burnt out after the renovation and everything. So it's been really good to just be able to just take a step back and chill out for a little bit. So yeah, the flexibility is amazing. And also with that flexibility comes with being able to choose your own hours. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, I work really, really well early in the morning. My morning routine is usually get up very early, like 5:30, 6, and go and do some exercise. And then I like coming back and actually plowing through with some work. I don't know why, but my productivity is better at that time. But when you're working for 9 to 5, you can't really do that. You have to wait until you get into the office and start work with everybody else at 9ish. So being able to choose when you feel more productive is amazing. And also obviously, things like time of the month when you're not feeling your best, it's amazing to be able to not have to work on those occasions. Also, having more control of your schedule means that you have more time for your hobbies. So since I went freelance, I've taken up surfing and I've become obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. But surfing is not like a quick thing. You need a couple of hours to be able to drive to the surf, get in your wetsuit, all that kind of stuff. So being able to have the time to actually do that is really only because I freelance, and I can make sure that I fit my surfing when the waves are good around my work. And I love that. And to be honest, once I've had a good surf and I go back to my desk and I work, I just feel so much happier and more productive because I know that I've achieved something that I really want to do in that day. For you, that might look like going and taking your dog out for a walk or going to the park with your kids. Whatever it may be, you have more time for things that make you happy. And I think that equates to being a better person at work. So you might not have an office bestie, but co-working spaces and even digital co-working spaces are on the rise. And it's so cool to meet people from different walks of life and around the world. I've learned a lot from meeting digital nomads from other countries, and you just can't do that in an office. You're stuck with the same people day in and day out. And I'm sure that those people, one of my best friends I met at the BBC office, but it's amazing to be able to meet people from different walks of life and learn from them as well. Also, with freelancing and being able to travel, if that's something that you want to do, I personally think travel is such an incredible thing for personal growth. I have learned so much traveling the world, and I have only been able to travel because I can earn an income whilst I do so because of freelancing. So that is another massive pro for me. Another really good thing, which I've already mentioned, is living in low-cost places. So I think a lot of comments I get on my socials is that people are really afraid to start this because of the financial stress, and I understand because you do not have that regular income coming in. I started my freelancing journey in Bali because it was extremely low cost to live there. So it just meant that pressure to make sure that I was earning a certain amount wasn't really there, and I could really try and build up my experience and build up my client base and portfolio and that kind of thing. So I would recommend trying to live somewhere low cost, or also you could keep your full-time job when you start, so you can start building on the side, but I'll go into that in more detail. Another massive pro is that you have the potential to earn way more. If you can manage multiple clients, there's literally no stopping you. You could be earning much more than your regular 9-to-5 job. And of course, you can work on various projects. I work across so many different industries and different projects within my niche, which is digital marketing, mainly social media strategy. And I love that because I learn so much. I learn new skills as well. And all of this just keeps adding to my portfolio, and it's continuing to develop myself both personally and professionally. Okay, so the cons. So yes, there are definitely some cons of being freelance. The main thing for me is all the admin. This comes with being self-employed. So being self-employed, you have to do everything. You have to do your finances, you have to market yourself. So there is a lot to do, and you actually have to think about how you're going to work that. You need to save time to be able to do those things as well as your actual freelance work. Obviously, if you're employed, you don't need to worry about any of that. You've got your job, you're secure. You don't need to do any marketing or sales to try and get more clients. So that is a big one. And of course, with that comes that you don't have access to employed benefits like sick pay and holiday. I find it very difficult to take holiday where I'm literally shut the laptop, I won't log on, I won't answer emails, because when you're self-employed, it's really hard to switch off. So you need to have a bit of self-discipline to be able to actually take the time off, because I think it is really good for your mental health to be able to switch off for a little bit. It's hard not being paid to be on holiday. That is a major benefit of being employed. So it can get lonely. If you're working remotely especially, you might just be working from your home, and you don't have that kind of like team camaraderie around you and like the office bestie and all that kind of stuff. This is actually something that I've struggled with recently, but I have also just recently joined the Uncommon Folk Club, and it has been the best thing I could have ever done. I wish I'd done it sooner, to be honest. The support and just like work friend like environment that you get is just incredible. And so co-working spaces and online communities are a really good way to combat that loneliness. If you do decide to go down the digital nomad route and travel whilst you work, I'm not going to lie, it can get exhausting. Here in Siargao, there are not very many co-working spaces here yet, and the hunt for Wi-Fi can get a little bit tedious when you've got a meeting. And that can happen all over the place. At the same time though, I remember being in my little cottage in Cornwall and Wi-Fi would just go without any warning. So the Wi-Fi thing can happen anywhere, I think. But traveling whilst you work can get exhausting. And the last one, if you're wanting to buy property, especially in the UK, it might take you a while being self-employed. I think it's getting better now, but for me it took me 3 years to show my accounts, which is crazy because as an employed person, you only have to show 3 months. Again, I just think this is nuts because as somebody who's self-employed as a freelancer, I actually have multiple clients. So if I lose one client, I have backup funds. Whereas if somebody that's employed gets sacked, then they lose all their income. So I don't really understand the logic. We won't go into that because that's a government thing. But something to consider if you do want to buy a property. So as you can see, definitely pros, definitely cons to being a freelancer. But for me, the pros completely outweigh the cons. And if I can help it, I will not be working as an employed person ever again. So let's go into the next chapter.